Good evening. Welcome to the Town Council regular meeting, work session, and executive session, March the 18th, 2021. Roll call.
Buckholz present.
Holloway present.
Bennett present.
Grossman present.
Palmer present.
Let it be known we've established a quorum. May all of us rise for a moment of silence and pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Go ahead, you can have the whole thing.
All right. Item 3A, item proclamation honoring Councilman L.G. Chris Bannon. Proclamation, I'm going to take this off if everybody don't mind. Proclamation 2021-0318, honoring former Councilman L.G. Chris Bannon for his service to the town of Cape Charles. Whereas in 1988, visionaries Lawrence Glenn Chris Bannon and his partner Jim Wells moved to Cape Charles and purchased a house with the intent of opening the first bed and breakfast in town. And whereas Seagate B&B was a success which brought numerous visitors and future residents to the town, as well as prompting the opening of additional bed and breakfasts. And whereas Chris began his public service career on July the 1st, 1992, when he began his first term on the Cape Charles Town Council. And whereas Chris served a total of 25 years on Cape Charles Town Council, with the only break from July 1st, 2002 until June 30th, 2006. And whereas during his 25 years on Town Council, Chris was elected and served as the Vice Mayor for 12 years from July 1st, 2006 until June 30th, 2018. And whereas Chris served on the Cape Charles Memorial Library Board and is an ardent supporter and member of the Friends of the Cape Charles Memorial Library, and through their fundraising effort provided a valuable service to the library and its various programs for people of all ages. And whereas Chris also is a member of the Citizens for Central Park, and through their support and fundraisers assisted the town of Cape Charles in design and construction of Central Park. And whereas Chris regularly volunteered his time with the Eastern Shore Virginia Tourism Commission at the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel Welcome Center in his role as one of the town's best cheerleaders. And whereas during his tenure on Cape Charles Town Council, Chris strived to make Cape Charles a better place to live and dedicated his efforts for the best interest of the community. Cape Charles has seen much change during that time. And whereas the town of Cape Charles is deeply indebted to Chris Bannon for serving with such devotion, earning the respect, admiration, and friendship of all the citizens of our community through his professional leadership and dedication. Now, therefore, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the town of Cape Charles, I, William Smitty Dyes, in recognition of Chris Bannon's many contributions to our community and its citizens, hereby express the town's deep appreciation for his service to our community and wish him the best in his retirement. This was adopted by the town of Cape Charles on May the 18th, 2021. Can I get a motion to adopt this?
March 18th.
March 18th, excuse me, thank you.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Absolutely.
Opposed? Chris is not here tonight.
Excellent.
We'll
Yeah.
see you again. All right, item 3B, recognition of town employees celebrating significant anniversary, and this was handed to me today, and it's hard to believe that she's been here for 5 years, but she's done an outstanding job, and she's moved around from different departments. She started working for Libby, and she was asked to task to move over to planning, and without hesitation, she took on that role, and so we definitely appreciate all the hard work that Tracy Eiton has done, and she's been here for 5 years, from April the 4th, 2016 to April the 4th, 2021. Thank you, Tracy. Mr. Hosen, make sure she gets that, please. All right. Public comments, 3 minutes per speaker. Do we have anybody signed up?
There's nobody here tonight, but I do have, I think, 3 of them that were submitted in writing.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Libby.
May I remove my mask? while
You
I
may.
read?
Oh, I
Thank
need
you.
to put mine back on. Thank you.
This first one is from Susan and Howard Thibodeau. It says, "Dear council members, we write to you after numerous verbal and written attempts with the town treasurer, manager, and a letter to the mayor to resolve this problem. Last week, more than 2 months after the tax due date, we received a penalty notice for late payment. We contacted the treasurer and asked her to waive the penalty plus interest of $150.35. Her response was, "We always send out the delinquent letters in January. After the dust has settled from the flood of payments and cleaning up accounts that people have called us about that have errors with addresses and property sales and the like. The bill was actually due on December 7th, but I stated the 5th. Where does it state? You can tell citizens that the date is different than the code. I asked to see our mailing envelope, which she said in conversation she kept. She sent me a copy of an envelope that was not ours. I asked again by email and received no response. We have a copy of our check, which was canceled on December the 11th. We spoke to the postmaster in Virginia Beach, who said there were numerous delays in December due to the pandemic compounded by the holidays. Additionally, the treasurer stated in her email, I am aware that Virginia Beach did offer a tax relief program. However, our small town has no method of offering such. Real property taxes are a primary source of revenue, and we have no means by grant or other revenue source to fill the void that such a program would cause. I have not heard of any similar relief being offered anywhere else, certainly not in a small town or Northampton County. Depending on penalties and interest as a primary source of revenue can be a serious problem for the town. Several towns and cities in Virginia offered some form of leniency due to the pandemic, as noted on their websites. These are unprecedented times, and to penalize residents for paying their taxes is unacceptable and an unexpected financial hardship for us. Additionally, both my spouse and I were sick with the virus when we made a trip to the post office to ensure the taxes got mailed. We did not ask that the taxes be waived, they were paid in full. We asked to have the penalty plus interest waived. The delinquency notice was sent to us 2 months after the tax due date, which is hardly good customer service. We would greatly appreciate having this penalty removed. Our credit has always been excellent, and to have an inappropriate penalty reported to the credit bureau would be so wrong and unnecessarily costly to us in a time when finances are so poor. We are appealing to you as the council and hope you can understand our situation. Please review this with whoever needs to be involved. We appreciate hearing back from you. Thank you, Susan and Howard Thibodeau." Email from Jim Granger. Members of the Planning Commission and Town Council, I strongly oppose the rezoning of 303 and 309 Jefferson from R1 to C1. I have lived on Jefferson Avenue since 2015, first at 408 Jefferson and now at 524 Jefferson, and feel that C1 zoning is incompatible with the neighborhood. The description of C1 zoning. These commercial activities are characterized by heavy traffic, noise, and congestion of people and passenger vehicles, and by large office buildings and retail establishments. Says it all. That location is surrounded by residences and a church and is only a block from Central Park. Operating a small eating establishment under variants like CC Cool Eats is acceptable, but rezoning to C1 would potentially open the area up to any type of industry. With C1 zoning, someone could open up an auto repair shop, nightclub, porta potty service, etc., all incompatible with the character of the surrounding area. We have worked very hard on Cape Charles Main Street as the ideal location and climate for businesses. Jefferson Avenue needs to stay residential. Sincerely, Jim Granger. This last one is from Ellen O'Brien. Hello, Town Council. I am writing to express my opposition to the rezoning request for the properties at 303 and 309 Jefferson Avenue. Thanks to the background provided by Caney Nunez, we now have an understanding of the accurate zoning of this property. The Comprehensive Plan Future Land Use, Section 3.2.1.3, lists this area as continued traditional residential, which is described as primarily as single-family dwellings with some multifamily housings, including row houses containing 2 to 4 dwelling units per structure, and single-family house which have been converted into 2 or multifamily dwelling units. This category is intended to promote and encourage a suitable environment for family life where there are children and to restrict all activities of a commercial nature. It is important to recognize that the owner is able to operate the business plan without rezoning the property. However, it appears rezoning is sought to permit the addition of a golf cart drive-through. Worth mentioning, too, is there has already been work completed to offer entrance and exit for golf cart passage. Jefferson Avenue is a two-way street. That allows for on-street parking on both sides of the street. There is a residential driveway directly across from the area where the proposed golf cart drive-through is proposed. This request is clearly not considering the potential risks associated with current vehicle and pedestrian traffic. Furthermore, the property in question is located on the corner of Jefferson and Strawberry. Vehicles and pedestrians on foot and bicycles would be put at risk with the addition of a golf cart drive-through. The business owner has made the decision to not allow indoor seating, and this decision should not drive the requirement or request for a golf cart drive-through, nor should it drive the requirement for off-street golf cart parking. It is important to point out that the owner is fully able to operate the business plan without rezoning the property and creating of a golf cart drive-through. The proposed expansion of the business into the vacant adjacent lot for expanded outdoor seating and a drive-through window for golf cart patrons is changing the character and nature of the historic nature of the usage on this property and the neighborhood as a whole. It is not compatible with the comprehensive plan and should not be considered for rezoning with special conditions, especially since the business can open their doors today without making a zoning change that will have far-reaching implications in the future. Vote no, and you will be doing something today that your future self will thank you for. Respectfully, Ellen O'Brien.
Thank you, Ms. Libby. Item 5, approval for the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda as,
So moved.
Second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, unfinished business, there is none. Can I get a motion to recess to a work session?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, work session, discussion topic, review public comment and amend the draft community strategic plan as necessary. Mr. Hosey.
Mr. Mayor, we held a public input session on the 13th of this month. We also received several written comments that were provided to me by the clerk a few days ago. I've taken an effort to review all of the comments. There were 12 comments received, and summarize them on the document I handed out to you, and group them according to action. Some of them were appropriate for consideration that would be a change to the actual plan. There were some others that didn't actually change the plan, just the priority. A majority of them dealt with parts of the plan in implementation. You wouldn't necessarily change the plan, but there were comments with regard to how it would be implemented. And then there were comments regarding how the budget and revenue. So my suggestion is well, I think the first two are the ones that are most relevant to our discussion tonight with regard to whether you want to change the plan. The last two, implementation and revenue, are certainly valid points, but we don't need to change the plan to do those. The implementation are things that are more things that I would consider as moving forward, or that we would consider together if it was something that required council action to implement something that's already there. The budget and revenue discussion is a whole separate discussion that will happen when we bring the budget forward and talk about our long-term revenue strategy. We can consider those comments, and I will bring those comments back when we reach that discussion. Of the ones that, going back to the top of the list then, unless there's an objection, I would just kind of go through these, and then if there's something that you saw in the comments that I did not include, then feel free to bring them up. Probably the most significant comment that was offered was to add an environmental responsibility goal that would include as subparts recycling, electric car charging, protection of significant trees. While I don't disagree with the concept, my concern is that if we make major changes to the plan, and personally, I consider a major change to be something, if we're going to substantively change the vision statement, or if we're going to add or subtract a goal, I think that's pretty significant. And if we choose to do that, I would be reticent to then adopt the plan immediately after this. I would think we would probably want to defer it to the following meeting and allow the public to react to it. Not to discount this person's comment, but it was one person's comment. We had over 500 views the video I made was over 500 views to that. So I have to assume that hundreds of people have reviewed the strategic plan and only received 12 comments. So I think the vast majority of the people are satisfied with the plan as it is, or they would have commented. So again, I don't want to discredit one person's comment, but I just want to put it in perspective. It is one person's comment.
But at times there have been more than one
Yeah.
person on a particular comment.
Right, like the tree, in particular, the tree piece was a couple of people.
There was two.
Phil and Jane. I don't know if there's someone else, but those two come to mind. And I just, in looking at the, public, there was comment on the, what does it mean by the public green and open space infrastructure? Does that, was that our nod to environmental, and what does that mean? I know metric is to develop a plan. I don't know. I think those are pretty significant. I think it is something that we missed, kind of in the big picture. Yes, only a couple people say it. When it was brought to my attention, I was like, oh yeah, of course, environmentally.
And I don't disagree. I'm just saying that when we make something as significant as goal change, I would be nervous about immediately adopting.
Yeah, I agree with both sides of the issue. On one hand, the quality of the comments we got was excellent, but I guess in my mind, I was thinking most of them are things that we can address in implementation. And given the process we've gone through, even if something was only raised by one person, or multiple people, if we decide it's a valid point, it's something we'll pursue in implementation. And I've made notes of several such things. But given the process we've gone through, I'm not sure there's anything that to me rises to a level of needing to actually change the plan. Not that it's not important, but just in terms of how broad-based the input and the consensus has been. I totally think we need to take up the tree issue. I just don't know that we need to amend the draft plan to do it.
So, I think, for me, this is kind of a live document that's going to get updated whenever it needs to be updated. And so, I don't know, I think these issues are very valid issues, but it's, at the same time, I think we need to continue moving forward, and if we need to come back and change it at some point in time, we can add a goal or something.
And
Well-
that was going to be my comment too, is that we'll update it again in a year.
Yeah.
The question I have is when we talk language here, goals, I didn't come across any that I would change in the way of goals.
Yeah.
Some of the attributes underneath, to me, may be worthy of discussion. But I didn't come away with addressing any change in goal itself, the high-level goal.
I'm just saying, I think that was, maybe I misinterpreted, but I took the comment to be, they're requesting a new goal that would address environmental responsibility be added. I thought that's what they were asking for.
Well-
And under that, then they gave several objectives. So what I'm saying is to accommodate that, you really need to add another goal. trying to put those objectives under the existing goals are kind of hard.
Yeah, I searched and I could not come up with a clean insert
Exactly, which is why it really
for
needs
that
to be-
one, yeah.
Which is why it really needs to be a goal. And let me just go through let me finish my, so, some of these though, there are fairly, I think, non-controversial or easy to adjust. So I took the liberty of making some changes for your suggestions. So behind this summary sheet, I did walk through, I did make a couple of changes for your consideration. We just start at the beginning of the plan on page 4, under the goal for expand businesses and business-friendly environment. There was, I thought, a very valid comment that we should change the metric to say increase in business-related revenues, not taxes. Otherwise, it makes it sound like we're purposely going to try to raise the taxes. I thought that was an excellent suggestion.
Yep, I agree.
So is
Okay.
tax meant,
included- I
is tax
included-
meant to be stricken through?
I'm sorry?
Is tax meant to be stricken through?
Well, I said business-related tax revenues, so that that's how we get our revenues, is business taxes. But before I just said taxes, now we were going to. On the next page, on page 5, there was a comment that the state of the town meeting only needed the annual, not semi-annual. And so that was an easy fix, if that's something you want to adopt. On page 6, this one was the second most substantive comment that we received. And this had to do with recreation for our kids. And I'm going to speak, this is John Hosey's personal opinion here, but I took it to be very valid. I think this was a hole we missed. In consideration of some of the other things we talked about at the retreat. We talked about the goal of trying to change the population to a more family-oriented mix, and one of our goals states to create housing options for families, which would assume children. I think for a small town, we do extremely well for younger children. We have a playground, we have programs at the library, there's lots of things for a kid of that age to do here. And once you get your driver's license, you kind of have, freedom to go somewhere else. But there's that age group between, I would say, 12 and 16 that we really don't accommodate well in Cape Charles. And the suggestion from the resident was that we consider developing volleyball or basketball courts. And I thought that could easily fit under an existing objective E, by changing, we currently say promote arts and entertainment, we could change it to say promote arts, entertainment, and recreation, and slide that in. I thought that it was an easy place to put it, if you chose to include that as an objective.
Yeah, I'll just add on, that has come up a number of times over the past number of years. And I have no problems adding it into this. The difficulty we always struggle with is how we're gonna make that happen. And we have had numerous conversations and proposals, and it just hasn't been able to work. Not that we're here to solve it now, but just recognize this is gonna be a tough nut to crack.
Which is why, we'll get to it, on the very last page, under work plans, it's in the category that is deferred until 23 or later. But at least it's listed in here as something that's.
Working towards it is fine, and I have no problems with that.
Another comment was to eliminate the charging stations under the safe golf cart culture. So I struck that through, and I would offer that I would agree with that. I didn't mention this during the retreat, but I was concerned when it came up at the retreat. As someone who would have to manage that, it would be difficult. It's not like you can go in and charge quickly. It takes hours and hours and hours. And who's going to monitor when one person moves and another person goes? It's just going to become a parking spot, and someone's going to tie it up. And someone's got to police it and keep them moving. And I also don't think it's necessarily important, right, that the public should pay for someone's electricity to do that. We don't pay for their gas. So I personally wasn't comfortable with that at the retreat. I didn't say anything at the retreat, but since a citizen brought it up.
Well, 3 people brought it up, so I'm for taking it out.
Yep.
I have a question, because I had a comment on E. Are we moving through each one, or?
Well,
how are
I
we doing
guess,
that?
I'm sorry, yes, I'm
So-
sorry. I was just gonna
You're gonna go
tell you what
through
the examples
everything.
were, and then just go to the back
Okay.
there, and you
Okay,
guys
I just
give
wanted
me
to make sure.
consensus, yes or
Okay.
no, as we go through. So I'm just telling you what my changes
Yeah.
to the document were. Then there, on page 7, there was, confusion about what we meant about an RFP for, the harbor. And I don't think any of us understood what that meant. So, I don't think we should lock ourselves into an RFP. I suggest we just strike that whole phraseology and just say research. Just research market forces to determine the healthy mix. And leave that open to whatever mechanism we decide when we have the resources to do it. I think that would eliminate a lot of confusion that was obviously noted by the public. And then, I think, other than the very last page, as I already mentioned, if we include the volleyball courts, I included it in the part of the work plan that was deferred until a later time. So, so I did not include in here anything relating to the environmental responsibility, the recycling stations, the electric car charging, and significant trees. Also, there was a comment regarding clean water. That's all it said. I don't know whether they meant clean drinking water, clean water in the bay. There was not enough specificity for me to be able to address it. And the other one was pylons at the beach that didn't really fit anywhere. It would probably be a more appropriate comment to come up during our public input for campus studies for our capital projects. Didn't fit under, maybe you think it does. The closest one would be to protect the beach.
That's on private property, isn't it?
My understanding is it's the remnants of the old pier from the dock that used to be there back when we used to be
North
doing
End?
stuff there.
Private
On the north end
On
of
the
the
north end?
Yeah. Gallagher,
Is that on private? I'd say
that's private property.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Well,
then,
but I mean, we actually have in our town code that addresses that.
okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a spot in there that we, in our town code, that says we can force them to remove all broken plots, so that's private property.
Okay.
I think a lot of people just as many, if not a lot more, love it.
Yeah, I think there'd be a lot of
Part of the
opposition
Yeah,
to removing it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I didn't know any of that, so I did not include that in the rough draft
Yeah.
changes.
Yeah,
It's not like we're lacking a swimming area, we have plenty of room for people to
Yeah,
swim.
but
Right.
it's a private beach anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
So
For
with
sale too.
that, I don't know what's easiest. Do you want to just go through one by one the changes I did include and give us thumbs up and thumbs down, and then we can go back and discuss whether you want to add another goal or not. So going back to the first one, which is on page 4, changing tax revenues to revenues, is there consensus to leave that one?
Yes.
I actually would agree with the comment that came in just saying business-related revenues, just because, I mean, there might, as we get innovative, be options that aren't just taxes.
Take out the word tax?
Yes.
Mhm.
I agree with
I'm good with that.
Okay. Page 5, the state of the town meeting being annual meeting versus semi-annual. Everyone okay with that
that.
one?
Yep.
Yep.
Of course.
Okay, page 6. Changing the objective that formerly read promote arts and entertainment to read arts, entertainment, and recreation, and include a milestone of develop a volleyball and basketball.
I just have it's not the changes you made, I accept those. I have the item 1, or A, or I guess. I didn't catch it, providing services of venues at no cost to local nonprofits. I think it should read at low or no cost, because there's a big difference between a 5,000-person nonprofit event, like Krabby Blues Festival, that takes a lot of resources from the town, and a 100-person nonprofit picnic. I feel like you guys know my opinion. I already feel like we're giving away the store on our use of spaces. And I do a lot of nonprofit work, and for example, Main Street pays for porta potties, trash cans, all of those things, I don't think the town should absorb that cost. So it just needed clarity, I thought.
I'd agree with that also, because one of the comments was cleanup costs
Yeah.
should be the burden of the organization. If they walk away from it, we need to clean it up, they need to be
Yeah.
penalized or whatever. So I think low
Yeah.
or no
Like, it
cost.
just-
Yeah, I agree.
That way we don't have to get in the minutia, but it covers us.
I agree.
So we do charge them $500 deposit every year, and we have deducted from that money because of lack of cleanup or damages. I know that doesn't
Yeah.
cover costs, but I do want you to know that that is there.
Sure, and I know that, and I think some kind of equity, like if you look at Main Street, which is a true nonprofit, and the Christian school, we are doing big things, we should be paying. Because we need to, afford to do the event, we're trying to make money or whatever it might be. But I totally support the local, small, little guys, so.
Okay, so their consensus to have, so we're talking about I, not number 2 that I added, but number I. Provide
Right,
services
yeah,
for
I.
end venues at low or no cost to local nonprofits.
Yep.
Consensus?
Mhm.
Okay. Are we okay with number 2, the volleyball, basketball court?
Yep.
Okay. And then,
Recreation.
foster safe golf cart community, striking charging stations.
Yes.
You okay with that?
And renumbering it, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Page 7, changing that confusing language about the RFP to just say research market forces. You
Yep.
okay with that?
Yep.
And then I think that's all of them except for the last page that puts the volleyball, basketball courts in the 23 or later category. Fiscal year 23 or later category.
Can we just make it more generic, just recreation in general? Because it's like, the only reason I say it is because out of the blue, we got pickleball popped up out of nowhere, and it's raging force. A couple of years ago it was tennis, so,
I
tennis.
can implement that. That's too big.
No, no,
I need something I can actually do.
Oh, so you want just,
So
okay,
if it's
gotcha.
basketball now, it's pickleball later. I mean,
Okay,
we update this
gotcha.
every year.
Gotcha,
So
gotcha,
again, I need something to shoot for.
go,
Okay,
gotcha.
so those
Perfect.
are the easy ones. So I would put back on the table the discussion of environmental responsibility to include recycling stations, electric car charging, and protection of significant trees.
Yeah, I feel like we just missed it. I think we really missed the boat there. And I understand, I don't want to slow down the process or any of those things, but I realize we can add it next year, but are we being good stewards and ignoring our overall environmental impact? Like, we have coastal resiliency on there, which is critical.
And maintaining green spaces.
And maintain, but we don't, like, to me, it's like, can the green space thing be just a language adjustment and that's underneath it? Like maybe the title was environmental, blah, 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 or something, and then the green space infrastructure's underneath that. I don't know the answer, but I just,
Yeah, because if you go to the University of Virginia's study that they put together for us a year or two ago, there's a lot of things in there that's needing to be brought to the table for discussion, trees being one of them.
one of them, under the coastal resiliency piece,
Right.
right? Yeah.
So, one of the commenters had really pushed trees, and really it's bringing, I read it into the A statement, review existing or previous plans,
Yeah,
in particular, the UVA study.
right. I just feel if we don't.
We never
recognize it
brought that in
somewhere.
front of council.
No.
It was a job that was done, delivered, and you have to go find it on our website.
What was it?
This was an environmental study.
The raft.
No, it wasn't RAF, but it was the University of Virginia came in with a bunch of students with a mentor, and they spent a week here looking at various things that we could do relative to the environment. And they had a section on trees, they had a section on drainage, they had a section on this, and
But wasn't it part of the team that came up with raft?
it wasn't, no, it was a separate,
ODU?
separate in and out
Yeah,
of this
it's
particular
different.
group. They delivered the report, it's
Oh,
posted
yeah.
on our
Can
web.
the report be distributed?
Yeah, we can grab it off the web and
It's on the web?
But that I read into here, and it's pretty extensive
Yeah,
when you get into what they're recommending.
They came in and basically introduced them and that's about it. And said they did the study.
Correct.
That's about all they did.
And their exits, only a couple of us sat through their exit slide presentation, and that was the end of it. So that is part of A, and there's a lot to A in that.
The recycle thing, we visit every year, we talk about Davis Disposal or whoever we do with the general contracting, which is always too expensive.
But it's
You know,
also,
but it may not always be. I mean,
Right.
you know, recycling and electric car charging could actually be considered under, town services.
yeah,
Yeah, because we always do it we do it every year.
I mean, you know, residents
Right.
might expect those as town services at some point.
yeah, and they do kind of expect it recycling.
Yeah.
We have to go through explanation of why,
Yeah, we do that every
but
year.
it doesn't mean we shouldn't look at it each time.
But I mean, that would not be adding another goal, that would just be considered under that.
And then we could add the report that, Paul's talking about under, where do we put that under, Paul?
Well, the recycling aspects could be
Yeah.
under town services.
Right, no, the one you were talking about, the UV.
That one was under to protect and improve public green and open space
Okay,
infrastructure.
yeah, I think,
So that-
that would make, I'm happy with that, if everybody else is.
You good with
So
that?
is it, oh, you
Good.
said that that's covered under the broader concept of A, which says.
Yes,
the plans?
yes.
So we're already covered.
Right.
Can we put in parentheses
Yeah,
or
you can put in
something?
parentheses, you know, in
Reference to
particular, UVA study.
Or perhaps add to the implementation list.
Yeah.
These things,
Yeah.
these are comments that are appropriate to what's already in here about how I implement. So to make a comment here, that that's something I'm supposed to do,
Yeah,
rather than jump up the
Good.
plan with
yeah,
that.
sounds good.
So, I've made a note to include that.
And then we're gonna add
then
recycling
under-
and,
Let's go back to, so on page 8 then is town services. You want to specifically add the objective of establishing a recycling
No,
program?
I would evaluate,
evaluate, research.
recycling.
Mhm.
We do it every year.
And
And electric.
And electric charge stations, because those are, Steve, I think that's a good, perfect fit.
Yep.
The car charging stations.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
Not a golf cart.
right,
We just crossed that.
yeah,
To add a car charger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't
Because
want
there's a lot of electric
If
cars.
you just leave charging stations, it leaves it open, so
it's
car
interesting
charging
with
stations.
car stuff.
Car
'cause it-
charging with
People
a,
find it.
with
and-
a, what's that thing
Meter.
called? A pay meter.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Because people look for, who drive the.
Well, let me
they'll
tell you
look on the
again,
map and
when
say, "I'm going there."
when we adopted the parking revision
Yep,
for bigger enterprises that are coming in, that's required now along with your normal 20 spaces or what have you.
right,
So
So how-
evaluate is, you know, will
Okay.
determine where it goes.
so how about this? If we were to add a D and say evaluate need for additional services. Under that I, recycling,
yeah,
Yeah, very good.
double I,
yeah,
charging
Okay.
stations.
perfect, John,
All right.
thank you.
Now, I need to, but then in work plans, that also needs to go in the 20 feet or later, right? So that would be added below this, those milestones would be added here.
Okay.
So, well, no. We're not doing it, we're just evaluating.
Evaluate
the need.
it,
We're
so
just
could we
evaluating
just,
the
we
need
could
for it.
start that.
So that could be part of the annual survey. You know, we said we're gonna do an annual survey and see how we're doing. We could add those types of things to the survey. Okay, so I'll leave that in the current one because it's not actually doing this, it's just it's just evaluating. Okay,
And just to carry through the thought process there, it wouldn't be so much on a survey, you know, would you like recycling? No. We evaluated recycling, here are the 3 options, 4th one being none of the above. you know, coming with very specific, so that the town response would be, yeah, we're willing to pay for X, or we're willing to pay X, whatever. Being
Yeah.
very more specific, coming out of an evaluation of what are the options and what are the costs associated with.
Yeah, survey design is a science.
Yeah.
It's- it's-
Exactly.
yeah,
Yep.
So you have to
Yep.
be very careful with how you do that.
That's
Yes.
right, that's right.
Yeah, because half of the issue with the recycling is people don't have any idea.
That's
what it
correct.
costs.
So when you ask these blanket, do you want the town to be
Sure, I want
safer? It's,
I'll
of course
take
they do.
Well, are you willing to pay $5 more a month?
Right, that's right.
No. I'll just take it to Sheridan, you know?
Were
But they need to know.
were there other things that you saw in the written comments that I didn't capture?
Well, the one comment following on the environmental, when we talk community values, we don't list environmentally responsible as a value. And I think if we're
That would be
pushing,
good to add.
you know, I didn't see where I could read into any of the existing bullets there. And I think that was a good comment.
Yeah,
or
because
comments.
it would cover several of our goals. You know,
Because we talk in the vision, you know, natural resources and what have you, I think in our values, we value your environmental responsibility.
Environmental stewardship?
stewardship.
There you go.
Yeah, I would
That's
say
even better.
stewardship
Yeah.
of
That's even
natural
better.
resources.
Because, you know, in our goal, coastal resiliency and the public green, that's what that is. You know, so that's a good catch, Paul.
So, getting to the value, we already have 10, this is 11. You start putting too many in there to get watered down. And I didn't bring this up before, I wanted to see what the public thought, but some of these values really say the same thing. They really cover the same thing. I mean, and is there really a huge difference between sense of community and citizenship? Is there a huge difference between diversity, tolerance, and respect? I mean, we could probably,
Combined.
or eliminate some of these. I mean, if we're gonna add another one, I like environmental stewardship, I think that's a good one. We could maybe eliminate citizenship, I think we could eliminate respect.
Yeah,
I wouldn't eliminate the word respect, I'd combine it, diversity, tolerance, respect.
Yeah.
Okay. And then eliminate citizenship and add environmental stewardship.
I'm okay with that.
See a lot of heads nodding.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Are there any other thoughts, comments, changes to the document? I think these are pretty straightforward.
Well, I have on the implementation side, we have words with regards to the financials. And when you look at, you know, some of the comments that came from multiple sources, you know, you had it at the bottom of your sheet here. I don't know if we need to reflect that other avenues will be sought out, whether it is increase in short-term rental tax or parking meter or something. I think we need to say we will look.
So my suggestion, I provided this is part of the record, give it to the clerk. When we get to the open meeting and you move to adopt, reference this document and direct me to bring these items, either to consider these during implementation or bring them forward at the appropriate time. Something along that line, this way it's written, it's documented, it's in here, so people can see that we didn't ignore it.
Okay?
So as a procedural thing, when we get to open session, again, I would say that the document we just worked on is a revised document, so this is a substitute document. So you make the motion to approve the substitute plan developed in work session. And to have the summary comment sheet be part of the record and direct the town manager to consider them or bring them forward as appropriate. That would be the motion when we get.
That's gonna be your responsibility, Paul. I see you taking notes. You're ready.
else have any more comments or thoughts or suggestions or? All right, well,
That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
that being said, can I get a motion to reconvene to the regular meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. New business. Adoption of the community strategic plan. Mr. Hosey?
As we just discussed, Mr. Mayor, the council's considered all of the comments that we've received from the public at the public input session and in writing, and has reached consensus on a substitute document that incorporates most of those comments. And staff recommends that you approve or adopt the substitute plan.
All right.
I'll make a motion that we adopt the substituted plan that we adopted during work session, and to include our takeaway sheet as part of the record for the purposes of addressing implementation and revenue and budget issues as described in that sheet in the future.
Second.
Got a motion, got a second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Before we move on to the next one, thank you for all your hard work, John, on that. Thank all of you, and definitely want to thank the planning commission and everybody. It's very nice to have plans brought and move forward, so thank you very much.
A lot of work by everybody. Thank you to all of you too.
Yep. All right.
And Libby and Jen.
Yeah. Item B, petition to schedule a special election. Rosie?
Well, this is unfortunate that we have to bring this forward, but as you know, Councilman Chris Bannon resigned, and we are required to petition the court for a special election. We have to do it by tomorrow, so we waited.
Have been 45 days already?
No, that's to appoint someone.
Oh.
To put the petition in for an election, it has to be 14 days or is it 15 days? 15 days. Which is
15
Which is
days,
tomorrow from the time he
then resign.
from the time he
Okay.
resigned.
I was like, what's that?
So,
Got it.
so it's a housekeeping item, and staff recommends adoption.
All right, resolution 2021-0318, petition to schedule a special election, whereas Mr. Lawrence G. Chris Bannon was elected to be a member of Town Council of Cape Charles effective July the 1st, 2018, and whereas Mr. Bannon tendered his resignation on March the 4th, 2021, and whereas in accordance to the Code of Virginia, section 24.2-228A, within 45 days the date of vacancy occurred, the Town Council of Cape Charles will be appointing a qualified voter of the town to fill the vacancy until a special election can be held. And whereas the Code of Virginia, section 24.2-226, requires the governing body to petition the circuit court to issue a writ of election to schedule a special election within 15 days of the date the vacancy occurred. Now, therefore, be resolved, the Town Council of Town of Cape Charles, this 18th day of March 2021, that Northampton County Circuit Court be petitioned to schedule a special election for the purpose on November the 2nd, 2021, to coincide with the Commonwealth's general election if possible. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Can I get a roll call vote?
Buckholz, yes.
Holloway, yes?
Bennett, yes.
Grossman, yes.
Fulmer, yes.
This was adopted by the Town Council for the Town of Cape Charles on March the 18th, 2021. Thank you. Item C, set a public hearing, rezoning application 303 and 309 Jefferson Avenue from R1 to C1.
So, Mr. Mayor, this is not approval, this is just setting a public hearing. And I would also call your attention to, at the end of the agenda statement, there was a proper statement offered by the applicant that I don't know was available at the time the comments were looked at. So I think the proper statement narrows the scope as well. So anyway, this is not to approve anything except to set a public hearing. Staff recommends moving forward with setting a public hearing.
All right. Can I-
Make a motion, we set public hearing for,
April 15th.
is that the next meeting? 15th of April meeting.
Second.
Got a motion, we got a second, any discussion? All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you all. Item D, IT support services contract renewal.
So, Mr. Mayor, this is to, 2 years ago, we advertised for this service, and we contracted with Diversa Mines, and the contract allows for 2-year renewals. There was a small typo in the agenda statement that was done. The original was April 24th of 19, not 2010. It was just a minor typo. We've had extraordinary service from Diversa Mines. They've been very responsive to us. It's a very cost-effective way to deal with something as expensive as IT. I can tell you from my last job doing this, my IT department was horribly expensive. So this is a very cost-effective way, and it's been very satisfactory, and we enthusiastically recommend you approve the 2-year renewal.
All right, you got staff's recommendation, can I get a motion?
Make a motion, we authorize town manager to execute a 2-year contract renewal with Inversa Mines for IT support services.
Second.
Got a motion, got a second, any discussion?
Only that I've never heard anybody in town enthusiastically recommend a renewal.
It's the first.
With that being said, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Okay, town manager comments.
All right, Mr. Mayor, so I've been I'm following the COVID numbers. They continue to decline. There was a small spike actually today, but overall it's been declining. Still no word from the governor on when he may choose to relax his restrictions. But last time he did this, he did not put a date specific on it. He just said until rescinded or changed. I am still eyeing the beginning of April to go to a phased reopening, similar to what we did last October. So I've asked my departments to get ready for that. So that first Monday in April 5th, unless something weird happens between now and then, or else the governor changes and cranks things down, I intend to start moving in that direction and go to a start our phased reopening on the 5th of April. Also, this week we received the RFPs that we requested for the PPEA consultant. This is the experts who will help us evaluate the unsolicited proposals that we've received who wish to potentially acquire our water and wastewater utilities. Very good turnout. We had 5 proposals come in. I have not had a chance to review them yet. Would like to thank Councilman Bennett, who's volunteered to serve on my evaluation team. We will be looking at those over the next couple of weeks. It's my hope to have something back to you for approval at the next regular meeting of April 15th. And, the Historic District Review Board met and elected their new chair and vice chair. Ed Wells is the new chair, and Herb Thomas is the new vice chair. And I have scheduled a meeting with them tomorrow, sit down to kind of go over lots of things. There's also some uncertainty about what I'm doing at your direction with regard to my review and analysis of what's going on. And so I want to meet with them and explain to them what I'm doing, get their thoughts and input. And it's also my opportunity to coach the new chairman on meeting decorum and how to do those sorts of things. So I'll be meeting with them tomorrow. The research on the main project I'm working on is ongoing. There's a lot to it. I've met with Councilman Grossman on this, and I wouldn't mind getting with you early next week again, Paul, if you have time. I'm at a point where I'm looking for meeting of the minds with Paul and I, then I think we need to schedule a sit-down meeting with all involved. A work session between council, the commission, and the board, and identify where we're going. What target are we hitting, so that then we can finalize all the pieces, parts that we need to get there. So that's ongoing. And the last thing is, the next meeting which is April 1st, I don't currently have any business to come forward, but that would be an appropriate time to schedule interviews for the vacant council seat. So we'll be discussing that in executive session tonight. We have gotten one letter in so far. I got a phone call today from someone who expressed interest in possibly submitting a letter. So to the extent that you have candidates or we get candidates, we'll probably look to try and schedule those interviews for 2 weeks from now. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hosey. Mr. Palmer?
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Grossman?
Couple things. Tax penalty letter that we got, is that something that you're gonna look into, John, or have looked into?
I have looked into it, and our hands are tied. It's a code issue. They admit to filing it late, and they are by code assigned a penalty. It was due on the 7th. They admit to mailing it on the 8th. Of course, we got it late. For the treasurer to take the penalty off, she would become personally responsible for it. I've met with them. They want the code provision appealed. I told them I didn't have the authority to do that. They asked who did. I said, well, the council can change the law. So they came to you. So I'm not aware of any provision that would allow you to address it, short of changing the law and somehow making it retroactive.
Okay, all right.
Do we know anything about the delay in them receiving notice of the penalties? I think it said 2 months or something like
Well,
that.
it was, but they knew it was late when they mailed it.
Right.
So getting a notice from us, yes, it was a month later than normal, but they knew it was late when they mailed it.
But is the penalty and interest a fixed amount, or does it
Right.
increase with time?
Well, I think it's compounded monthly.
So, seems like if it takes 2 months, I mean, you know, take 6 months to notify them, we'll get more money. That doesn't seem like a good thing to do.
No. That's why I didn't understand the process, but it sounded, by the time were we just notified them when we received it, is where the penalty?
No, the penalty is assessed the moment it's late. That's why when they knew,
Right.
when they knew it was late, it would have been reasonable for them to call and find out.
But it doesn't get higher in the month or two until
I
they're notified?
don't know that for sure. I assume it's a set math, it's just compounded monthly, but I would have to check.
Yeah,
on that.
and that's what I think we were just verifying that.
All right, just want to thank Libby. We had 6 meeting minutes in pretty detailed length on our sessions, and I appreciate all that's there. The regional housing study that I mentioned with regards to akromac, Northampton, that RFP will hit the streets, so that is progressing along, and I'll keep you apprised of what's happening there. And lastly, I was assigned a seat at the akromac Northampton Groundwater Commission. So I am sitting on that right now as a board, as a commissioner. And the other thing I'll be, once I get my financials recorded and certified, I'll be assigned to the Economic Development Authority. If you remember, that had a change in title. It's now the Economic
Oh, right.
Development Authority. So I am now part of that, or will be shortly,
In what capacity?
as one of those directors.
I mean,
Like with John
There's
is
like
it a volunteer thing?
There's a,
Did the town
yeah, no,
appoint you, or
no.
You just volunteered?
No, the one on the groundwater came and they had talked to Smitty and talked to John. The other one is just as a public entity
Right.
getting involved there.
That's the one. with
So on
John
groundwater, I
Burns.
represent the town at the table. Okay. That's all I have.
Vice Mayor?
You know, seems odd sitting in this seat, after sitting in that seat
Yeah, it does seem
for
odd.
12 years. And we did have the proclamation for Chris, but I just wanted to, you know, it's gonna be very strange moving forward without Chris Bannon. You know, and that makes me the longest serving council member. 25 years is not in my thought process, so.
He will hold that.
Chris,
seat for a
I thank
while.
you very much. That's all.
That's good. That was
Holland?
wonderful, Steve, well said. Couple of things that are exciting. Main Street is working to establish kind of a jobs listing, the best way to say it, to put on our site, our current site, working with Eastern Shore Community College and the high school. There are so many businesses that are on Facebook just posting, we're looking for, but there's not a centralized place. Jen brought the idea to us. We had it on we have a strategic meeting, planning session this Saturday. We had it on our list, but this forefront, it kind of moved us faster to kind of get on it, and we've got some balls moving in that direction. Jen, we will keep you kind of in the loop. I think we're trying to figure out the best place to house that. Our old site is just barely hanging on, but we figured we could throw a page on there temporarily. So it'll be a great place for job seekers to look, for businesses to post, and hopefully get some synergy. Jen made a really good point. All of the businesses are posting on Facebook, but that age group is not doesn't use Facebook in the same way. So it's going kind of to an empty notice. So we're also going to point people to that page from Cape Charles Happenings, Eastern Shore Post, those types of things. So we're hoping to get some synergy going, hoping we're not too late this year. We can at least get the start of it going. A couple of things we're working with the town and Jen specifically. Jen has resurrected the Easter egg hunt. We're hoping for good weather. I know that's always the kiss of death. That's April 3rd. And the businesses, to tie that in, are doing kind of little specials in the businesses from before the Easter egg hunt. So they're coming up with all different kinds of ideas of things that they're doing. And the Easter Bunny's going to be there. And the Easter Bunny will also be at the Easter egg hunt in Central Park. So that's April 3rd. And then the next thing we're working on together is we're doing a sidewalk sale on the Main Street Commercial District from April 16th through 18th. So all the businesses, you know, they haven't had a chance to kind of clean out their inventory because of COVID. So this is a chance for them to kind of get stuff out on the streets and create some synergy. And I reached out to Jen and said, hey, that community yard sale you did in the fall a couple years ago, can we move it to this weekend? So she's going to do that on April 17th. So we're just really creating some synergy together, which is exciting, and hoping that things will start to come alive. All of those are easily done with social distance and the same things we're doing now, so it's no different. So we don't have any risk of that. And then I think I neglected to announce that Robbie Marsh has resigned as the Eastern Shore Commission director and the chamber director. He got a really amazing offer from ANEC that he just couldn't personally turn away. It's a huge gap for us, both from the chamber perspective and the synergy we had going with ESBA tourism. We are still trying to fill that position as a joint position and work together, keep the ESBA office in the chamber, you know, all that stuff we went through. So I just wanted to keep you in the loop kind of on that. His last day is April 1st. He is getting everything together, you know, in line, and he'll be around for transition, but just wanted to keep you kind of abreast of that since I'm the town representative on that. That's it.
Michael,
No comments.
all right, I got a couple things. Let me take this off. So, past couple weeks, myself and Mr. Hosey's kind of varied around to outside departments. We met with different staff and stuff, and we started with the library. The library's definitely in need of some work. They've done a lot of work there. They've got the handicap doors in and stuff. I was pretty impressed with the way they're moving, but I think there's a leak in the front of the building that's got to be taken care of. I know they're working on trying to get handicap accessible, figure out a way to get handicap accessible restrooms in the library. So it's, everybody's got their thinking caps on there, so that was real good. And of course also met with wastewater and water plant. We went to the wastewater plant, went to the water plant, and everything seems to be running good there. There's some things, especially on the wastewater side, that need some attention. And I know they're working on, the water department's working on the meters. I can tell you that every one of those staff members are concerned about us selling both of those. So it's, and rightfully so. But all in all, things seem to be going pretty good in both of those departments. And then stopped by Public Works, and they've just finished putting up the signs, and they've got Frankensweeper all ready to go, which I think looks cool. It's a really good job.
That'd be a good Facebook post.
So,
Name the,
yeah. I think we ought to put a witch on top and say,
Yeah.
check my broom, mate.
exactly.
On the back, but anyway.
I'm in business.
But the Public Works crew is, if you look around town, they've done a really good job and stuff, and so, and I know with the meters and stuff, that's gonna be real exciting to start getting meters, and they don't have to read and all. Then, last I met with the police department, we discussed several things, but one of the things that was, I kind of volunteered to do at the strategic planning session was to meet with Smitty Malcolm on golf cart issues and stuff. And I discussed with the chief and John, and they're gonna be bringing stuff forward to you guys, and I'm gonna meet with those guys after that happens. But all in all, it was a good meeting. Staff, I still gotta get upstairs and just kind of venture, make my branch through the hallways upstairs. So, but I typically see those people more than I do the outside services, so it was really good to get out and see everybody. That's pretty much it. And just like I said, thank Chris for all of his years of service. He's been a big part. He's been a big part of the harbor. As when I was harbor master, he was definitely a liaison to me of getting some of the stuff that I wanted when I was over there. He pushed. Same thing with the park. Chris was a push. So I do want to thank him for that. So announcements. April 1st, Town Council special meeting. I don't know if I'll be here. It's opening day at my real job, so I'm going to see how that goes first. April 15th, Town Council regular meeting. With all of that being said, can I get a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Second.
Motion to go into closed session, Code of Virginia 2.2-3711-A, paragraph 1, discussion, consideration, or interviews of prospective candidates for employment, assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of specific public officers, appointees, or employees of any public body, specifically town manager performance evaluation, specifically discussion of potential candidates to fill the town council vacancy. All in favor? Opposed? At this time, we request any members of the public, all of y'all, please leave the room. Was there any members of the public outside waiting to come back in?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. Can I get a motion to return to open session?
So moved. Second.
Certification to the best of each member's knowledge. One, only public business matters lawfully exempted from the open meeting requirements under this chapter. Two, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was conveyed, were heard, discussed, or considered in the meeting by the public body. Roll call vote.
Buckholz, yes.
Holloway, yes?
Bennett, yes.
Grossman, yes.
Fulmer, yes.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you all very much.